Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Adventures of a Real Estate Investor. I'm Susie.
And I'm Michael, and we're excited you joined us for this adventure.
So today's very special guest is Liz Faircloth. Thank you so much for joining us.
Well, I like that introduction. I need to record that, Susie, and then every morning just play it, and I'll be like ready to go for my day.
Yeah, I can be your alarm clock for now.
You can totally be that alarm clock. Send me the record. I'm clipping that, and I can listen to it every day.
Awesome. I do like that. Well, just to let our audience know, I actually met Liz. Although I knew of you, my first introduction to you was through Camilla Jeffs, who is now a very dear friend and a partner in crime. And so I'm just really happy that she put me in your path. And now I'm even happier to be in the same path as you and Go Abundance. So I am very, very, very excited to chat with you today.
Yeah. Thanks for having me on, both of you. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. So I know Susie knows a lot about you. I know a little bit about you, but a lot of our audience doesn't know about you. So I'd love for you to share with our Adventures family a little bit more about your background, like why you started investing in real estate.
Yeah, and I'll try to share different pieces, right? Because I don't want to tell the same old story. It's boring. No, but I want to make it accurate for your listeners. So I started investing about 16 years ago. And at the time, I was going to graduate school to get my master's degree in social work. So I loved psychology. I loved helping people. I was very focused on actually opening my own practice. I've always been drawn to counseling and pretty much helping people in my life. So that was my focus. I was could have been more focused on that. And at the same time, simultaneously, my brother-in-law handed me Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And I started reading personal growth books, but I never even knew what investing was, what it meant. I didn't grow up in that type of family, great family, middle-class family, but investing and entrepreneurship and all those sort of things was not even in my sphere of knowledge, quite honestly. Reading that book, and he was an entrepreneur, just started his own business. Him giving that book to me opened my eyes to wow, real estate could be such a vehicle to create something much bigger than just, getting a job or doing one thing in life, but really transforming properties, transforming people's lives, transforming our own life, helping other people. At the same time, I started dating my now husband, Matt. So we kind of jumped into this together simultaneously. I had him read Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I dragged him to the RIA meetings. We knew nothing, knew no one, had no money really, honestly, and just had this yearning to create something bigger for ourselves than what maybe the path that we were both on was going to lead us towards. So at the same time, I ended up not getting a job in counseling. I ended up reading that book. It says, if you don't know what else to do, get a job in sales. So that was actually one of my first things that I did. He quit his job the year we got married in 2005. And then simultaneously, I ended up getting a consulting/sales job because reading Rich Dad, Poor Dad and not doing counseling. So I ended up being in corporate for about a decade and then leaving for good. But yeah, I think that's an interesting piece of that book because he basically talks about, hey, if you can't sell and influence, it's going to be really hard as you're looking for property and try to broker deals and jump into this business. So I did that for about a decade and then left my corporate work. But that's how we got started taking courses and just learning. And our duplex was our first property. We actually bought it in 2004. Can't see my gray hairs, but anyway, I do have them. You just can't see them, which is good. But anyway, 2004, we bought our first duplex and that kind of started our journey and have been mostly multifamily investors. However, we've done a lot of different things over the years, flipping, new construction, raw land. We got into a bunch of random things when we started, to be honest, and then really got focused on multifamily and then multifamily syndication around 2010.
So when did it almost click where you were wait a second, everything I went to school for actually totally works in real estate, right? Because when I first got into it, and when Michael and I did together, so many people are oh, I have an MBA. But after hearing that over and over and over, I was wait a second, because one of my undergrad degrees was in anthropology because I love humans. And I was this part of me, that feels like it fits so much more, the drive to want to help people, the drive to want to learn about people. So when did you finally realize that it meshed also?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So, I've always been drawn to helping people and just that always gave me the most excitement and fulfillment in my life, just as a kid. And then I went to Fiji and actually helped build houses in college. Andres and I, my partner and InvestHer, were talking about that recently as we prepare for InvestorCon and sharing our story. And she's like, Liz, you worked on houses in service. And I'm like, she's like, that's so connected to your story. I'm like, oh yeah, that is, like, so you start to look back on your life. And I was always drawn to like helping people and making a difference. And then when I met my husband and then we started getting involved in real estate, the idea of transforming actual property is just one other layer, right? And then you think about the impact that you can make. So for many years, we got our start in most of our earlier properties were all bought in Trenton, New Jersey, which is New Jersey's capital. It also is an urban community still working through economic challenges and different things where jobs left the city and, still trying to improve the community, both visually and economically, right? Mm-hmm. So we were so focusing on buying property there and really renovating homes and making a difference along the way. And that's still been part of our journey 16 years later. I think obviously investing can be a pure financial decision for some people. They literally, I just want to make money. I don't want to make a difference. But a lot of people that I know and it's more than just making money. You want to make a difference. What I love about real estate is it's a visual way to make something that comes into your world better and better for the investors, better for the tenants, better for the community. Does everyone do that? I don't know. I don't think everyone does that, but that was certainly important to us, me being in the social work background and my then boyfriend also having this shared vision of wanting to support people and help them. That was what we talked about literally 17 years ago before anything we got involved in. We just always had that mantra. We just didn't know what it was going to look like.
No, I love that. I do. Just because like even 100%, right? Like when it's about like the people, like conversations are different, like the whole business plan is different, everything changes, like, but it'll all come together, right? I'm not saying like you can have a horrible business plan, but you think about the people and it works out, right?
Of course, doesn't make sense.
Strategic in the background, but like really when you are focused by like helping others, like the returns are much greater than you could ever believe.
Yeah. And the others can change, right? So maybe it's the tenants or it's the community itself. And it's also investors, which I know you both know. It's like, wow, how you can build your own wealth by building other people's wealth, right? That's pretty cool in a safe way. And that's pretty neat to be able to, it could be a little overwhelming, right? Because you want to take good care of people's money and protect it. But it's pretty neat to be able to be in a role, right? To build other families' legacies. That's pretty cool. And that's really where we ended up focusing our energy on as one of our main customers was our passive, investors.
Yeah. Because even when you think about helping them, like preserve their wealth or generate more wealth, a lot of people can actually associate that like with their job, right? Like my job is here to create this safe space for me. But like with one-on-one calls, I know I've never been asked during my interview, like what is going to like make you the happiest? Why are you wanting to get in this position? What is the motivating factor behind investing? The questions don't have to be exactly that in a job interview. You know what I mean? But like, just me, right? I don't believe that all like W-2 jobs have that mindset because you are kind of just a person who can be replaceable. But like in a syndication, you're not, like you cannot be replaced.
Yeah.
Part of that family for that time, even if you want out. But,
yeah, like it or not, right? It's partnership. Yeah.
But like even getting to know the person at the very beginning makes a world of a difference because then you can be like, okay, I don't know if this is a good fit, where I think that's huge too, because when you find people who actually are a good fit for you, your investment, all the things, like it's totally different because even when something does happen at the property, they're more receptive to it because it's like, hey, well, this problem happened. We're trying our best, but we also have to keep like the residents in mind. And so it just makes a big difference.
Absolutely. I'm really curious, Liz. It's like knowing your evolution. Like you said, you started syndications the way 10, like now, and then also, your primary customers, passive investors, like that. But also like, I see you in the space and syndication space, everything like that, like, and in the, motivational coach speaker space as well. And, I think you're leveraging a lot of your, what you want to do in social work right now, where you're trying to build this community, this InvestHer community. And I want to learn more about the evolution of that. Like, where did that come about? And what sparked that? And where did it start? And where is it now?
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's a great question. So as a young mom, both Andres and I were also very good friends. And then we started partnering on deals together. So we did a handful of projects together, and we'd be flipping a property, new construction, did some cool stuff together in Philadelphia in particular. And during those conversations and during those projects, we would get together. Her and I would have like little mini masterminds and connect and talk about life and, one part of our life, and this part was working, what was not working. We always had these kind of like coming to Jesus meetings together and supporting each other and holding each other accountable too, right? So if I said something at the same time, 3 months in a row, she's like, let's even talk about this for 3 months, So really had this kind of like, we had each other's back, and both on our own projects, but just in our own other businesses that we were involved in. And we were both young moms as well. And so that just presents a whole other dynamic of life. And you're kind of creating this new normal. And as we talked and we discovered we had these both shared passions around supporting women, different reasons. So at the same time, I was actually getting my degree in social work. I took one class at Wharton, which I was at Penn, University of Pennsylvania. And so I'm like, if I'm here, I might as well take one class at Wharton since I'm not an MBA student. That's okay. I'll take one class and make believe I am. And I took the one class I took was on entrepreneurship right after I read Rich Dad Poor Dad. And my business plan was actually to create a women's center to support women who are emotionally abused, mentally abused, physically abused. That was my case. That was the work I did in Philadelphia when I was in graduate school, was working with mostly women. So that was literally 20 years ago, right? That I wrote this business plan. I don't have a women's center today, but we've created InvestHer together. So that passion, or this intrigue of just wanting to support women for various reasons, was born in me then. And then that kind of came up again as Andres and I started talking about our passions. We love real estate. We're like, we'd love to connect with more women and have women connect with each other, and what we're doing for each other that women can do for each other as well. And so she has other why this is a passion for her. She's got her own journey and path there. So we kind of came like, oh my God, we're both really passionate about this. So we talked about, where do women go? And as we Googled it, there wasn't a lot of places for women in the space of investing where they felt safe. They felt like they can ask the questions they want. They can get the support they want. Over the last 4 years, we didn't know if this was a space that more women would need, but it has proven that women really appreciate the safe space and really have each other's back, where they could talk about money. They could talk about successes they're having. Just this week on our Facebook group, we had a woman who flipped 2 properties. I see her active in our community, really successful. And she said, I had 2 women reach out to me, basically shaming her for flipping 2 properties and making a good profit, because you can see that on online now, right? You can see what people make, what they buy it at, what they sell it for. And she's like, how do you move through this guilt? Like, I don't know if men are having the same conversation, but women are. And that's something that women do talk about. So I love seeing these conversations, because I think women still are working through a lot of different things: financial freedom, not feeling guilty, doing it on our own terms. For all those reasons, we are building this community and building a global movement of women supporting each other. Why it began was that Andres and I are like, we want to be part of something and create something, and it's not there. It's not out there right now. So that's kind of why behind it, and also just our passion around helping women. The research also shows, just to add this part, is that women actually outperform men as investors statistically. So that's just the reality. I'm sorry. I really am very sorry, Michael. But no. But what's interesting is women aren't doing it enough, right? Women aren't doing it as much. So then there's so much research. Then you get into the differences of men and women, and men are amazing. Men are great. I have so many amazing relationships with men, from my father to my husband to my son. So this doesn't come in any other way of women are better than men. I'm not saying that at all, but I just think creating a space, safe space for women is important and needed. And it continues to show that, where women can feel that confident and talk about how much money they're making, talk about the success on their own terms, because there's no way it should look like. It just, what does it look like for you? And unapologetically. It shouldn't be like, well, I could buy this purse because I just did this. No, if that's what you want to do, go for it and feel good about it, So I hope that gives you some explanation.
It does, yeah. I just want to add a little bit to that. You said like women are better investors and stuff like that. We'll make more money. Outperform. Thank you. That's the word. I think, and I've read about this, and I think like there was like a study or whatever that was done, and I think it comes down to risk analysis, right? Because men are just like, oh,
correct,
myself included, we'll just like jump into something,
correct,
knowing everything. And then Susie, luckily I have Susie, who's like, hang on, let's look at this. let's do the research and that's probably the reason why.
Yeah, more conservative, right? So with being conservative, what we often find too is that women will take longer, right, to maybe jump in, especially newer investors. I'm talking more new investors might take longer to jump into that niche or jump into that multifamily or jump in. Some women, then you have risk-taking women who just jump in. So then there's all that aspect of personality. But yes, I would agree that I think that's part of the research. So then interestingly enough, when you do make the decision, right, when women are saying, I'm going to make this decision and buy this investment, it's well thought through. Yeah. It's not like on a whim. It's not like they woke up on a Tuesday and wanted to do this. It's been well thought. So maybe it'll take longer, or there might be more research in it, but it's probably the right one.
What's really cool, one last thing, I'll let Susie jump in here. Like, it's really cool that now you've built a community, an investor community, where like people can encourage each other to, get past that analysis paralysis and just jump into something, like, hey, these are the risks. Yes, you've analyzed it. Take action now, right? So, and that community provides permission for other people in the community to take action, right? Which is really cool. So,
yeah. No, and what I wanted to add, was the community sense, right? Like actually making those relationships and having them be ongoing. So last year, I attended your virtual conference, and you know how we had the accountability groups before. So my accountability group, actually, we still meet. And
that's awesome.
We're all going to InvestHer together.
Oh, that's so cool. Right? That's so cool. I love it. You're right. Oh, I love that.
Yeah. So it's cool that even, not all accountability groups may work, but some of them do, and they keep going. And it's actually a lot of fun. And we all are in different areas of real estate investing. So it's cool that way too, because we're all learning, but then we all feel super comfortable about talking about our wins and just finances or whatever. And now it's been fun, but now we're just really excited to actually meet in person. I'm like, look at this. These Zoom calls are worth it.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. And, for us too, I always say for when we started with a podcast, and, think about what a podcast, it's amazing, right? We're both podcast hosts, but there is a level of where is the community aspect? So we immediately created a Facebook group where us and our real estate investing friends are going to be on this group, and we're just going to help each other and we're going to support each other, and that's 11,000 women in that Facebook group now. And there's a lot of good support in that group. It's a very, but my point in saying that is that it's not just the content, right? It's we all can Google how to syndicate, how to flip a house. Not that it's rocket science, or not that it's the easiest thing either. I don't mean to say that, because there's a lot of pieces to all niches that you only getting into it, you're going to know. And there's a level of community aspect that you can't get from a book. You can read a lot of books about flipping, but there's one thing that's very different when you ask someone, say, hey, have you been through this before? We had a woman in our group last night sharing with us, that she was getting to closing. She's buying a fourplex. She connected with another InvestHer meetup leader who's in that community. She then recommended a bunch of boots on the ground. So that was a huge connection for her. Felt comfortable to make the offer. Closing comes, the lender came from someone who was in our, someone else in our group recommended as a good lender for a fourplex, and they were dragging their feet. And the seller was saying that we're gonna cancel this deal. That we're done here. So one of the people in our group called the lender's co-founder, who a couple of us know, and got on the phone with him and said, do you know this is happening? We're not going to keep recommending you if this is the kind of stuff that's happening. What's going on? She's been ready to close for 2 weeks, and now the seller is going to cancel because your company is dragging its feet for no reason on that our so-and-so is not the problem. So something happened and it all worked out and she got to closing. I was just I'm so glad that she got to closing. But I thought about, wow, that's so cool to see an active community that has each other's back in motion for the goal of getting a real estate from beginning to end, literally from finding it to the area to the problem with the lender. That's priceless, and I think everyone needs to be part of some community that they can lean on that way versus, doing things ourselves.
Yeah. And I love that, because it's not everybody, I'm sure none of those people may have even met in person, right? But it's
correct.
This one thing, that phone call, it's not this is hours of work every day, I think we sometimes forget that our little 10-minute, 15-minute, pay it forwards, will actually save someone else hours of their day. And like, that's the huge significant piece is that like when we all can make each other like a little more productive, like the world just goes around better.
So true.
How is it working with Matt?
He's nuts. No. That just sounds like a perfect lead-in. No, it's funny, navigating starting a business, working with your spouse, over the last 16 years has been a journey, I'll say, because we've gone through different points of our marriage. We've gone through different parts of our businesses. We've worked full-time together. We've worked very part-time together. We've worked strategically together. So we've kind of played a lot of hats, over the years. And I think the bottom line is you have to get into a good cadence that works for your relationship. There's some people that literally can work together and it just works for their relationship. It works for their communication. Matt and I had to do a lot of work on ourselves. We've done a lot of work on over the years just to see what will be a good for our marriage and for our family. We ended up having kids a little bit later. We were married for 8 years until we started a family. So we also had that time, right, to build a business, figure things out. I think that the place that we're in now works really well for us because what we found when we worked, and I have an important lesson is, what is everyone's role? What's everyone's passion? And how do you want to work together? And then you can kind of divide and conquer or say, this is working for me. This isn't working for me. For Matt and I, we have very similar personalities. We are different in some ways, but we are very similar in the sense that operational element of our business, the operations, the critical thinking, the skepticalness of the way a partner or a partnership should have in this business, the project management, running timelines, running budgets to the T. Like that's really important in our business. It doesn't mean you have to have it, but someone on that team needs to be that way. Correct. Right. No one could be successful in this business and not run things to the, not perfection, but just on budget and timeline. Yeah. Neither of us were great at that. And so we were sort of redundant early in our business. We both had a lot of passion. We both liked people and we both liked building relationships, but you don't really need two people doing that all the time. So I didn't know this at the time, but we had a lot of disconnects because we were trying to do very similar things where we didn't have kind of focused roles that aligned with the business and also align with our personalities. So that's something that's really important is like, if you have redundancy in partnership, you don't need both people, quite honestly. It logically doesn't make sense, right? So, but I think for us, what really worked was like, where can I add value to the business? And where can he add value? And what are our roles? And over the years, we started our business, we grew it. And then as we started to build our syndication team, not that I don't have a place on our syndication team. I don't have a day-to-day operational role though. We're very clear on that. It's not like I try to, and I'm not part of their weekly calls, but I am part of the team and I am part of the strategic kind of element of what we're doing. And we're very focused on that and we're very clear on that. And that works because I'm really passionate about what we're doing on the InvestHer side and having balance and being with my kiddos and all the things that I talk about important. So my point in saying all of that is to know what one another's passions are, know what one another's strengths are, know what one another's roles are, and really start to say where we both align and where do we overlap. And you have to have those honest conversations because where Matt and I thrive is where we're brainstorming and we're connecting. But if we're literally trying to both do the same thing, it would just be redundant. And that happened early on. We were kind of redundantly building a lot of great relationships, but who's managing the flip was always we were like looking at each other. I'm not going to do it. Well, you're not going to do it. Who's going to do it? So, and then we started to partner with people and that worked. And that's when Andressa was a breath of fresh air. We had other partners that didn't work that way. So I think the last thing I'll just say is that you need to have shared goals and shared values and shared kind of like be in this together. Him and I have always been very aligned with where we're headed, where we're going, what we value. All those things have always been very, very, very aligned. How we do it and the roles and the way we're going to play together and work together, that's evolved over the years. But the value of starting something from nothing and doing whatever it takes and doing good by people and building something that can help a lot of people, that was like our first conversation we had 17 years ago. And that still remains the same. I think that's helped us build together, quite honestly. That's been the key.
Yeah, because then the motivation through the day to day, like that's where that plays into, right?
Yeah.
You know what you're working towards and when it is the same. Like when you get excited or when he gets excited or when one is down, you can help lift the other one up.
Correct.
well, we both are in this together. So that's why we're going to get through it all together.
We went down and went to go see our properties, and we have a large amount of units in Lexington, Kentucky. So I went down there recently with him and started looking at some of our new assets. And I just had we brainstormed a bunch of really neat ideas on, economies of scale and how to shift some things on the property management team. It's just great. It's like, again, I'm not the asset manager. I don't insert myself as the person then, right? Because that's not my role. However, like, where can I add value and what I know and how I know it? And then he's like, no, this is great. And it works really well for our relationship. Now, every day I'm not asking him, so what are you doing about that? How's that going? Like, I ask him in a curious way, but not like a dissecting way, or I'm trying to check in on him or check on him, because that does for our relationship where I start asking him 95 million questions. So you got to know, right, what works for one another and also what does the business need?
Yeah, because that's the biggest part, right? I mean, that's what makes it all work. That's what makes everything go around, right? Because like without knowing that, then again, that's where you butt heads over and over and over.
Yeah.
Well, Liz, thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure chatting with you. We are now moving towards the end of the show, unfortunately, which brings us to the adventurous four. These are 4 questions we ask all of our guests. So the first question we have for you, Liz, is where is one place you wish to travel to and why?
So Italy definitely is on my list. My background and my ethnic background is 100% Italian, and my father's getting a little older. So one of my bucket list items is to work an Italy trip with him this year, actually. So I want to hear why certain things are in our family and just the family origin. He's got so many great stories from past generations, and it's just going to be different taking him there versus hearing them here. So that's one of my big bucket list items this year.
Cool.
I mean, places I want to visit.
Yeah. Because the second question we go into is, what is something on your bucket list and how are you leveraging real estate investing to achieve it?
I would say travel, and exploring new places is, I think, a big thing that's always been on our bucket list, me and Matt. And, when you're running your own business, sometimes in the way we've kind of ran it, we're like, you are very much part of it, right? Mm-hmm. So you start to not give yourself the room, or you have the excuses of, we need to be here. We need to be the one at the central part of everything. And, getting better with that. But so we're actually this year taking a whole month in July and traveling with the kids. We're going to a bunch of different places. Like literally, we've never done that for an entire month. We've done different trips and taken time off, but consecutively. So we're really excited about that. I think what real estate investing has in our building a business has afforded us to is, to create the ability to do that from a time perspective, right? A financial perspective, but also from a, enjoying what you're doing perspective. Because I think we were so like delayed gratification for so many years because we were building something that we're like, we need to enjoy what we're building too. And we need to be reminded of that, I think, as well. So I think that's a neat bucket list item that we're doing, like travel for a little more of an extended time, at least extended to us, and have fun and not feel guilty, or we have to check in every day with our respective companies.
I like that. That'll be fun.
Yeah, no, I'm excited. We're going to go to Canada. We're going to Club Med. We're going here. We're going there. Matt's in charge of organizing because that's not my strength. So I'm like, sounds great. I'm there.
It's so cool.
Nice. The third question we have for you, Liz, is what is one piece of advice you have for someone who wants to start passively investing in real estate?
Yeah, I would say that doing some soul searching on, what your money goals are, what are your short-term and long-term financial goals, and why are you using real estate investing as a vehicle for yourself to increase your wealth or create that passive income or, what have you. I think getting clear on what your goals are and like really what your goals are, short-term, long-term, helps tremendously to then evaluate the right type of passive investment opportunities, because there's a lot of great people out there, right? That are syndicating. There's a lot of great projects, but they're not all created equal, and they're not going to all align to what you need them to do to achieve the goals you want to achieve. So I think you need to do the work, quite honestly, to say like, what are you looking for? What's going to work for you? And then you kind of choose accordingly, market, asset type, and operator.
Thank you for sharing that. That was really great. Thank you. So then our fourth and final question is, if you had unlimited resources available to you, how would you leave an impact?
Good question. I mean, I feel like the impact I'm making now, I feel very purposeful, to be honest. And I feel good about most days. Some days, you want to bang your head against the wall about something. But overall, I feel like hearing that story about someone in our community being able to get to closing I was like, her daughter or son, right, is going to be impacted by that. And it really fills me up, right? To be part of something that's helping a lot of people. Beyond that, though, not beyond it, but, to just like build homes for people, like on a whim, or just have this unlimited bank account just to literally just give people the resources, homes, or I don't know, fill in the blank, cars, just like on a whim, not a whim, like I don't mean by whim, but that would be neat to like help people in like a basic need perspective, homes, all the things that we need, and be able to just write a check to do that. Trying to do more of that, right? Time, treasure, and talent, and giving back. And we do all do that in our own way, but to be able to do that without like any worry of that bank account going down or whatever, it'd be really cool to just have this unlimited account, if you will, that could just help people from a home perspective and a basic need perspective.
Yeah, I do too. Thank you.
Well, Liz, it's been such a pleasure. Before we end the show, would you mind sharing with our listeners, our Ventures family, how they can find out more about you?
Sure. Yeah. I'm in a few different places. I'm really active in our InvestHer community. I'm always looking on the Facebook group, just responding if I can, answer any questions. But yeah, you can check out, we have a weekly podcast that Andres and I do for women. We also have meetups across the country that are free for women to come together and help each other. And we have a lot of free resources. We also have our InvestHer Con coming up, which is going to be in June. Yeah, June 23rd, 24th. There will be men there, of course, but it's geared towards obviously empowering women to live a financially free and balanced life. We have 20 speakers and 5 keynotes. Women will be in circles with each other. Our commitment is that women leave transformed than when they came in. That's the goal. So it's a big goal, but we don't want to just run a traditional conference, a boring conference. This is going to be something that people have never been to before, and they're going to leave changed. So that's what we're up to. It's June 23rd, 24th in Charlotte, North Carolina. And, but yeah, definitely you can kind of get connected or plugged in and get support, Facebook community or meetups or Instagram. We're doing more and more lives every day just to add content and value, but you can get all that on our website. It's the realestateinvesther.com, HER.
Yeah. And like, it really is a great community. So if you have been on like the fence about like which one to join, right? Because there's actually a lot of them out there, and you're like, I don't know which one to be a part of, right? Like you can reach out to anyone in the group. I'm sure they would be more than happy to give you like their honest answer about it. You can reach out to me, right? Like reach out to Liz. Like we are really here to support. Like that is the whole purpose. Like, and if it's helping you decide like if InvestHer is great for you, if the conference is great for you, or if it's not, that's totally okay. But like, that's also the whole point of it, is like, if we can empower you to find out like a different place that you're meant to be, or if it's this one, then like, that's the whole point. So
get around like-minded people, get around people that are doing what you want to do and what you are doing, whatever the name of it is. I'm not attached to, but it's really important that you are part of with like-minded people who have your back and are going to celebrate your wins, not tear you down.
No, totally. Well, thank you again, Liz, for joining us. It's really been a pleasure, and I cannot wait to see you at the conference.
Yes, I know. Finally meet you. Thank you for having me on the show. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you, Liz. Until next time, explore more, adventure waits.
Woo!